when it really comes down to this, your ability to close deals repeatedly, time and time again, is really a big factor in your success as a real estate investor. And experienced investors know how to close more deals because they know how to seal the deal, they know how to close it, they know how to connect, and they know how to make those things happen. So what I'd like to do is share with you what I've learned over the last 20 years that can help you cut down the learning curve considerably for getting in front of sellers and knowing what to say to them. Okay, how to close motivated sellers over the phone. Let me try that one more time. How to close motivated sellers over the phone. That's what we're going to be talking about today. What we're going to cover is how most investors overlook good deals by missing this one key element. I'm going to tell you what that is. The questions you need to be asking sellers when you get a motivated seller, so important. The advantages to selling to an investor over retail. You really need to be able to say, hey, if you sell to me, these are the advantages that you're going to get. There are distinct advantages in selling to an investor versus putting it on the market. We're going to talk about all of those. So closing on the phone. First off, what do you determine is actually a close? What is a close to you? And it depends on what situation you're on. So is getting an appointment your close? It may be. That may be the close you're going for. And I like in-person appointments. Agreeing to a price, that may be. If it's a out-of-state type of a deal, I find being in person, you typically get better deals and you get more of them signed. Sending an agreement. Are we just going to send an agreement out to them so they can take a look at that? Is that the next step here? A date and time for a follow-up call, right? So one of the big things is when you're talking to a motivated seller, you do not want to leave without having a next action. That next action should be, when are we going to meet is the ideal. The next biggest action is, when are we going to follow up? The next biggest action is, when can we meet to go over the contract? So we want to have a next action and we want to be pretty specific. So what you've got to do in your specific area, in your specific market, is make the determination of what is a close for you. What is going to be the thing you're trying to do to close on the phone? Like we said, if you are investing out of area, you have to get the deal done over the phone and email. If you're in the area, most investors like to go in person. I specifically like to go in person. At the end of every call with a motivated seller, there should be a firm date and time set for the next action. What's going to be happening next? This should be a follow-up phone call, time to meet at the home if it's in the area, and I always prefer meeting at the home. This should be no longer than 24 hours, for sure not more than 48 hours, but in the next 24 hours, I wanna know when we're meeting, when we're talking, and what are the next steps here. And I'm not just gonna say, I'll call you tomorrow. That doesn't work for me. What I'm gonna say is, what time tomorrow can we talk? Would morning, afternoon, or evening be better for you? If they say it's in the morning, I give them two options. Would 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. be better for you? 11 a.m. Wonderful. Put it down at 11 a.m. I want to make sure you're going to be there. I want to make sure this is important, right? So I'm qualifying that along the way. Now, in the phone calls, if we're calling somebody, do you have any interest in selling your property? Yes. Then you can use the motivated seller script, which is something I am going to be giving you here in just a little bit. This is what you should be saying. The motivated seller script. What's your name? Are you the owner of the property? If not, who are you calling for? In case we get cut off, what's your best phone number, your home number, your cell phone, your email address? Tell me a little more about the situation. What's going on? Why are you interested in selling your property? And that is one of the most important. If you need to understand the why, right? You need to understand why they're wanting to make the change, what's going on. And I'll tell you, this is what I call peeling the onion. You have got to get to the bottom of it. And most times when you peel the onion, it gets a little emotional. So what's the address of the property, the city, state, and zip? How did you hear about us? Because you want to know what's happening with your marketing. If it's your first deal, it's less important. What year was it built? What's the style? What's the property size? Is it brick or frame? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Now with this form, it's actually really cool because you can just circle it. There's 4 beds, there's 3 beds, there's 2 beds, there's 2.5 beds, there's living rooms, you know, that type of stuff. You just circle it. How many garages does it have? Does it have central heat? Is central heat, not eat. I was looking at kitchen. Has the kitchen been remodeled? Yes or no? Bathrooms remodeled? Yes or no? And when I say remodeled, have they been updated in the last 5 years? If they haven't been updated in the last 5 years, I'm gonna have to do an update. Is the roof in good or bad condition? I wanna know, has the roof been updated in the last 10 years? Plumbing, electric, how's your foundation, slab, those types of things. Landscaping is in good condition, sprinklers, and I'm just circling good or bad, carpet, good or bad. And this helps me get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Exterior paint, what's the square footage of the home, beds and baths. And this is by levels. So you've got the main, the upstairs, and the total square footage. And F is for full bathroom. A full bathroom is a tub and a shower combo, or a tub and a shower that are separated. So you have a sink, you have a toilet, you have a tub and a shower. That is the definition of a full bathroom. A 3/4 bathroom is you have a shower, you have a toilet, and you have a vanity. That is a 3/4 bath. And a half bath is you have a toilet and you have a vanity. And this is set up so you can just circle those as you're talking to the seller and knowing what those things are so we can get that. And that's the basement as well, so you can ask the same things because we want to break out the square footage, understand the beds and baths, break out what type of baths they are and where they are. Then we want to get into this, are there any repairs that are going to be needed on the home? We've asked some of those questions, sprinklers good or bad? Is the interior paint good or bad? So we have a feel for that, but we want to get specific. One of the best things we can do is get the seller telling us the problems they have with the property. That's what becomes really important here, is understanding that. How long have you owned the home for? Why are you wanting to sell the home? Now, this goes back to their motivation question that we've asked earlier because we want a keystone on that at the end here as well. How long have you been trying to get rid of the home? Get rid of the home is an important piece there. When do you need to move and sell? What's your time frames? What is the earliest you could move out? So if we could make something happen sooner, could you move out sooner? How much are you asking of the house? How did you decide on that amount? What's the least amount you would take for a cash offer and a quick closing? Now, I don't negotiate at this point. I just want a number from them. Then I do my research, and then I go to the appointment, and then we look through the property, and then we start talking numbers at that point in time. Do you need that cash right away? Have you had any offers on the home? Are you currently listed with a realtor? How much do you owe on the property, and are you behind on any mortgage payments? Now, you guys know we can look at in Investor's Edge and have a really good idea about what that is. What is the monthly payments? Now, this gets into if you want to buy it with them, seller financing it, and doing a wraparound. So this is more of an advanced strategy, not something if you're getting started you want to ask about, but we're trying to get how much the interest rate, how much they're behind, and what's happening with the monthly payments, and when would be a good time to come take a look. Tomorrow I've got openings in the morning or afternoon. Which one's better for you? That's how I'm kind of concluding that. And then I've got a place for notes, other notes that are happening. The nice thing about this motivated seller sheet is it's double-sided, so you can just have these in your car, you can have them anywhere, you can print them off, and you can just write them in anytime you get a phone call and go through those questions. But we really need to start with motivation. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. We really need to understand the motivation. Why are they interested in selling? And just to be clear here, a lot of people don't want to sell, but they need to sell, right? They're not really wanting to sell. Peeling the onion can take time. That's one of the most important things you're doing, is making that connection, understanding the motivation, understanding the true motivation. This can help you get deals done that others won't be able to do. This is one of the key factors of getting off-market properties, is understanding the motivation, understanding what they need, and structuring a deal that will make it work. So make sure that you understand that you're an investor. You cannot pay retail. Okay, so we want to get that out in the clear. So you're probably wondering, well, who wants to sell to an investor? Well, we're going to talk about the advantages of selling to an investor, and we need to know which advantage is going to work best for them. What advantage is the thing that's going to be driving them wanting to do that? So let's talk about some of these advantages. You don't have to do any repairs to your property. A lot of people, if you have a house and it's in disrepair, you can't go get a loan from Bank of America or Wells Fargo or wherever, because they, in the appraisal, are going to check to make sure the house is in inhabitable condition. If the house is not in inhabitable condition, they are not going to allow repairs to be done. Now, inhabitable doesn't mean someone's currently living there. It has a long list of things. Like, I'll give you a few of my favorites. If there's any wood to earth contact, you cannot get an FHA loan on the property until that's remediated. If there is slopage away or towards the property instead of away from the property, you cannot get an FHA loan on that property. So a lot of people think, I got to do all these fix-ups to get this house into the shape that I can then sell the property. And that's one of the things the seller needs to realize is the house, the way the state is right now, you're not going to be able to sell it to a traditional buyer. it's in bad condition, you can't sell it to a traditional buyer. You're just not going to be able to because it's not going to pass because of these types of things. So you have two options. Okay, you can spend the money and fix the property up yourself, which most people don't have the time and don't have the money to fix it up, or you can sell it to a cash investor like me. I'm going to be getting a hard money loan, but we tell the seller I can do a cash transaction, right? Because it's cash to them. They're getting cash. We're not asking them to finance. The other big advantage is take your belongings and leave the rest. So one of the greatest things, most people are like, I need to throw stuff out. I need to do everything. It's like, no. Leave everything you don't want. Take the belongings, take the great stuff, and we'll take care of the rest. Just leave it behind and you can make a clean break. That is wonderful for people when they're like, this is just a great opportunity for me. The other thing we're looking at is closing on the date of your choice. It can be quick, it can be slow, okay? So if you wanna close in a couple of months, great, we can do that. If you wanna close in a couple of weeks, great, we can do that as well. So you can close on the date of your choice. Another big one is there's no real estate commissions. You'll be able to save all the real estate commissions, which by the way, are very expensive. In addition to that is we purchase the property as is, so you don't have to do anything to the property. The process is very easy. You don't have to have people draping through your home and looking at it and putting it on and finding out who the agent is and making those phone calls and you having to leave when the showing's gonna happen. That type of stuff is an inconvenience. A lot of people don't like people snooping around their home. They'd much rather work with an investor that's just saying, hey, I'll take it, and you don't have to worry about anything else and don't pay the commissions. You don't have to leave every time that showing is gonna happen on your home, as we talked about. A couple other advantages here. We can pay the title fees. Now, you need to know in your area what the title fees are actually going to cost, and you can build that into the deal. You can be like, hey, we'll pay the title fees, which is typically a few $1,000s. Cash sales don't deal with unqualified buyers. One of the things a lot of people don't realize, if they're buying a new house and it's contingent upon them selling their house to buy the new house, if they have somebody that's buying that house and they don't qualify, or they aren't able to get the loan, or they change their mind during an inspections period and they're like, oh, this is a problem, that's an issue, right? And that could jeopardize their ability to buy the new property that they want to move into. So if I can come in and buy that property for them, get them cash, that can be a huge advantage and something they're going to be super grateful for. This is another one of my favorite advantages. We can take over a troubled tenant. Now, you've got to be careful with this because you're going to have some legal costs and you're going to have to make sure that you know what to do with a troubled tenant. It's a little bit more of an advanced strategy, but it's like, hey, just leave the tenant, we'll deal with them, and in lieu of that, this is the price that I can pay for the property, and you can just walk away. Saving the agent commissions isn't just about the commissions, it's about the time on the market, hassling with the listings, as we've talked about a little bit earlier, and there's more advantages, but that's just kind of get us started. The thing you've got to realize is buying a property directly from a seller that's a motivated seller is all about speed and convenience, right? It's not for everybody. If you want to get the most you can out of your property, if your property's in great condition and you want to list with an agent, I'm not the right guy to buy that house from you. But if you want me to make it happen fast and you want me to make it easy, and if you have a property that's in need of work and you don't have the money to put into it, I'm your guy. So it's all about speed and convenience. That's what we're able to provide. That's the biggest value that we're able to provide, in addition to some of these other benefits that we have been talking about here. So some people want speed and convenience over price, and you just have to realize that. Most people are looking for best price. They are. But there's a certain population that is interested in speed and convenience over price. That's the most important thing. That's their hot button. They're willing to take less money so that they can make that happen, have speed and convenience. So that is who you're looking for. If somebody wants all retail for their property, that's not a good person for us. If the property's in great condition and they want full retail, it's not a good deal for us, right? But that's who we've got to be looking for. So the next step to follow up, right? If they are truly motivated, this should be soon. Typically meet at the house or a firm appointment. You want to be doing that within 24 to 48 hours, as we talked about. Steps to closing the motivated seller over the phone. You have to determine in advance what a close looks like in your process. Is that you're going to go meet with them? Is that you're going to send them an agreement? Is that you're going to go over pricing? Now, I will tell you, going over pricing as to how much you can pay in a first conversation is kind of doing too much. It's like getting married before you're dating. So you've got to make a relationship. We've covered some of the things in the motivated seller script, understanding motivation. What is their true motivation? So here's the reason why I have to understand their true motivation. If I know their true motivation, I can then structure a deal that's going to work for what their needs are and what's best for them so that they can take advantage of those things. Identify best advantages for working with a seller. Why should you work with me versus selling it? And we go through some of those advantages and make sure they understand that. How can you offer them more speed and more convenience? That's really what it comes down to when we are dealing with motivated sellers.